Yo, what's going on, Snake Nation? It's your boy Nagastrike, and I'm gonna do a deck tech today. I've been playing Tempo Jayce. I'm gonna go through and explain all the card choices and my matches at my Summoner Skirmish today, where I got third. I potentially could have won the whole event, but I punted. If you guys just want the deck list, you want to see the sauce, and just get out, I'll have a link down in the description and pinned below. So without further ado, let's get into the sauce and what we're cooking with. So this is a Tempo J deck. We're not playing Aurora because Aurora's for losers. Rune Split, we're going to do 7-5 in favor of orange. Simple as I just wouldn't play less than 7 orange in a punch first deck. Going to the battlefield selection, Veiled Temple is what we use going blind. The reason we do this as our blind battlefield is because it's really good whether we go first or second. If you open the patched Porobot, if you go first, you can conquer here before your opponent can get here, and then you can ready it and run home. If you go second, you have 3 runes, so you can pay 2 for the Porobot, pay 1 for the Jayce Legend to ready it, and then you can go to the Veiled Temple immediately and score on your first turn, and ready it and run home once again. Our go first battlefield is Starspring. Didn't really see a lot of go first options that I was too big of a fan of. Uh, Spoiler, we are a Hui deck, so Starspring's just really good for the extra movements, also good at protecting our chosen champion, the Orange Jayce, and just a sick battlefield. Big fan. Going second, we play Sunken Temple. We just want to draw cards, man. That's about it. So let's get into the actual main deck here. So starting off with our 2-drop lineup, we play 3 Raven Blooms just because this card's broken and like we're in an orange deck, so we have pump spells. So an extra +1 on the pump spells is really nice. Also synergizes with Stupefy incredibly well. Patch Porobot, the most important 2-drop in the deck because you can do shenanigans with Veiled Temple. Really good to discard Hui, so you get the double trigger. And yeah, I don't know. This card's crazy. I think this with Veiled Temple is just so crazy. Then the last 2-drop slot, I tried Plundering Poro before. I switched over to Forecaster. I just like that he immediately does something when you play him. He doesn't rely on being a conqueror. So he has value in the mid to later turns when you draw him as well, whereas Plundering Poro is just a 2-might vanilla, essentially. Um, and it's also your mechs have vision, so you can also get an extra vision trigger if you play a Porobot after you've developed Forecaster, so that's kind of cool. Another one I was considering is Watchful Sentry for the card draw. The one might kind of sucks though, and I didn't want to play like Fey Folk. I'm a big fan of Fey Folk. The card's pretty messed up, but I just don't think it fits our deck that well. So I've opted into the Forecaster to help set up our draws. 3 drops. We have 3 First Mate. This card's crazy. Really good with our champion and Hui and all that, and just a solid unit. Also allows you to double conquer on Starspring, which is pretty sick. Yeah, good card. Moving on, we have 1 Sprite Mother. I've opted into a little bit of a Sprite package. I was playing not sprites before, and it felt a little bit slow and clunky. The sprite package just really helps give you that extra push and allows you to get early points without committing too much. It's just awesome. Play, we all know and love Way. This card's incredibly broken. Just this is what makes the deck. It allows you to just go off and draw and fill up your hand. You can swing over anything. Yeah, we all know what Way does. Rounding out the units, we have 2 Ringar, just another broken unit. I was originally playing 3, we cut down to 2. You just don't want to see too many of these. But it's still nice to have. And if you don't need two, or if you don't need one, you can always pitch it to play, pump him up. And then finally, we have two Watchers. Again, Watcher's crazy. This card's really good into cannon when they try to set up their big hold. This just gives you a way to break it. Watcher is really good. Punch Verse is really good. Boy Pump is really good. Like, we just have a lot of ways to run over all their guys. Big problem in the cannon matchup being like star-crossed, but we're not like too worried about it. Moving on to spells. Starting off here, we have one retreat. We just have like a lot of guys that get value. So retreating a forecaster, poor robot, first mate, sprite mother, Rengar in a pinch, and Watcher, like all just get value out of retreat. Also really good for the extra rune. Very undervalued. You can have turns where you're on 5. And you know, this is the classic. You might know this from like set 1 Kaiser or whatever. But you can have turns where you're on 5 and you just like retreat your guy. Now you're on 6, you untap and have 8. So you can accelerate a Watcher, which might not have been something they were calculating. Stupefy, 1-for-1 draw. Also really good synergy with Raven Bloom. Really good synergy with sprites. Insane card. Gotta have 3. Moving on, we have Sabotage. Just a good card. Again, like, I feel like a broken record. I'm just, like, I click on a card and I'm like, yeah, this card's good. And, what else can I say about Sabo? Sabo is just really good, especially when we're in a meta where it's a lot of fizz and purple. The recycle's nice. This helps you against Master Yi as well. Yeah, I don't know. It's good. What else can I say? Punch First, this card's broken, obviously. I was playing 3, and I just cut this down to 2. Um, we're playing other pump spells, and we have, like, the Hui Pump, and then we have, like, the Minus from Watcher and stuff. So we don't need to overdo it, and the 2 runes actually does kind of hurt, since we're not playing seals or anything like that. So I cut it down to 2, and it feels fine. You never draw too many. It's great. Next up, starting to get spicy. We have 2 disposal orders in the main deck. If you haven't seen this card before, it's 2 energy reaction. You can choose to either draw a card or recycle 3 cards from an opponent's trash. So kind of like an orange Forge of the Future at reaction speed. Notably, it being reaction speed allows you to do stuff like react to a fizz trigger on the stack, or yeah, stuff like that. But also, the reason I'm playing this main is I was playing stuff like Dredge Up before, just like other cheap little draw spells to help filter through the deck and go faster. And I had Disposal Order in the side. And so I just took those out of the sideboard and played them main. Because it does what I want to do anyway. It's 2 mana, draw a card. You lose the flow on Dredge Up, which is like whatever. Like, if you're flowing Dredge Up, you're in a bad spot usually. So this is nice that it has the added benefit of just kind of being like a pseudo silver bullet against like Kinnan and stuff. Except we have 2 Grim Resolve, super good combat trick. It's just a better discipline. Also, it's like 2 mana plus 4 with Raven Bloom, which is kind of nuts. Yeah, good card. Recent addition, we're playing 2 Smoke and Mirrors. I don't know if this card is correct or not, but I added it when I added the Sprite package because it's just a nice little extra draw. And you know, you have a hidden trick. So, I mean, obviously the best case scenario is you play like Sprite Fountain or something. You move your Hui one side, you move your Sprite to the other side, and then you hide a Smoke and Mirrors. So then you reveal Smoke, you draw 1, you get a move trigger off Hui, and then you're probably winning a combat that your opponent didn't expect. Or you're moving your Hui out of danger and sacking a Sprite token if they're trying to run over it. So I think this card has value. Again, it might not be correct. Not sure. It only came up a couple times today. It felt okay. Didn't feel great. Didn't feel bad. 2 Rampage. This gives us access to the backline. There's a lot of good backline units that you just need to remove right now. And it's also just a great card in general. This can help with things like sprite conquering over to the other side by clearing out a battlefield, just shooting guys in base so they can't run over you on the crackback, stuff like that. Next, we have one acceleration gate. This card's pretty cool. I've been impressed so far. This is essentially our first mate copy number 4. This one can be defied, which sucks, but it is what it is. It also has the added utility of being a ramp for 1, which, it doesn't come up very often. Like, you don't really want to use it in that way. You want to ready, like, your big boys and do crazy stuff. But in a pinch, let's say you're on, like, a 7 rune turn, you tap 5, so you're floating 2. You're paying 3 for this and putting 1 back. So now we're on 6 runes with 2 floating. We untap the 4 remaining that are tapped. And so now 6 plus 2 is 8. Can accelerate a watcher, and whatever else you can do with 1 extra energy for a turn. Leave your imagination up to that. And then rounding out the deck, we have a few gear. Have a garbage grabber, which is really good for giving us inevitability and just good value. Really good to untap with our Jayce Legends, and we end up with a lot of cards in trash, so it's always going to have live targets. 2 Sprite Fountain. Sprite Fountain is so good right now, in my opinion. There's a lot of decks that have a slower game plan, like Kennen, like Nasus, stuff like that. And just having the sprites, this throwaway fodder, is like super good for early points, especially when you combine it with stuff like the Patch Porobot going into Veiled Temple and running away. Just a good solid way to always double conquer and preserve some of your units in base. And lastly, we have 1 Tools of the Empire. This card's pretty good. It might seem a little redundant with all of our pump spells, but this can turn your 2-drops and 3-drops into threats. This can turn your sprites into threats. And, worst case scenario, you can always pitch this to Hoi and just get like a Targon's Peak for the turn. And you can also just side it out if it's a matchup where you don't need it. Moving on to the sideboard. We play 2 Fiora because Master Yi is just everywhere right now. This card's really good against Yi. Obviously, they could do stuff like Rampage or get an advantaged charm on this. Well, actually, they're probably never charming this. But I mean, it's not like a free win, but this is also just really hard for their deck to deal with. So solid card. 2 Ruin Runner. We have an issue with like Starcrossed because we're playing like a bunch of big guys like Hueys and Ringars. We don't have any way to really protect them outside of just sabotage your hand and take your Starcrossed. So the way we protect them is in the sideboard we have Repulse and Ruin Runner to play around that. Next up we have 1 Bellows Breath, and we pair this with 1 Cannon Barrage. This is for the go wide decks like Rek'Sai and stuff. Really, they can put a lot on the board that we just can't deal with, and it's always nice to be able to clear their board before they get an Under Titan pump. The reason I went 1-1 on Bellows and Cannon Barrage is because I think Cannon Barrage has game into Rek'Sai specifically where Bellows Breath doesn't. In the case they're swinging in to break your hold and they have to cleave or repeat a blood rush. Cannon Barrage being reaction speed is really nice, so you can shoot all their guys down before they get the assaults. But I don't know. Bellows might be better just because it has the benefit of being played with Watcher at all times and just clearing base. But I think Cannon Barrage is just nice, so I just played a 1-1 split of both. I don't know. 2 Turn to Dust, you gotta have some form of gear hate, I think. We don't want to overdo it. I think 2 is the correct number. Like, we don't need 3 or 4 pieces of gear hate because all we're really trying to do is target stuff in cannon, target like hooks, and like Aurora. We don't even really care that much because we can go under them with sprite fountains and stuff. And then lastly, one progress stage just for like control grindy matchups where you really need cards. Um, we do have a lot of recursive card advantage with garbage grabber and Hui. Like let's say they answer the Hui or you don't find your garbage grabber. It's just nice to have an additional progress day for that reason. And it's also nice that it comes down and draws 4 immediately, so you can just refill your hand once you're out of gas. And so that's it for the deck overall. It felt super good. Pretty much every single card in the entire list got value today. There wasn't anything I was super like underwhelmed with or anything like that. So currently the only thing I would really change is maybe smoke and mirrors. I need to play with it more. Not sure, but I could see this potentially like breaking up your hand as a 2 of. So maybe cut like one smoke and mirrors, keep one in, and play something else. Um, I don't remember if I said this earlier, but the hidden on smoke and mirrors is actually really nice too, because 90% of people, when you hide a card in blue, are going to be expecting Temporal Breach, and then they see smoke and mirrors, which is a card nobody plays, and that can really throw them off. Maybe like some really keen, savvy opponents might expect this since you are playing sprites, but yeah, so that's the list. Pretty saucy, pretty spicy, feels good. The matchups today at the skirmish. So I went 3-1 today, and I got third place. I actually could have taken down the entire event. I wholeheartedly believe I would have won the event if I didn't punt. But let's walk through it. So round one, we're playing against Nasus. I lost the die roll, but I 2-0'd him because I was just so fast. I can really go under all the stuff he's trying to do with the sprites. And I can also contest his big units like Empowered Steel Paws and Green Nasus just because my guys are so big and pump spells. Round two, I go up against Baited Hook Kinnan. We lost the die roll on this one again, but I also 2-0'd here. Um, we just ran over him in game one, and then game two we turned to dust his Baited Hook and just went to town. And I mean, there's not much to say. We just kind of just ran over him, man. Watcher's a fucked up card. Round three, this is where we punted. So we're 2-0 going into round three. Win the die roll against Rek'Sai. I think Rek'Sai is a pretty hard matchup, but I don't think it's that bad. I think it's probably like 55-45. At worst, it's 60-40 in their favor, I think. But yeah, we win the die roll, win our game one. Game two, he runs over me. I ran out of steam. It was still a pretty close game. Round three, where I punt, or game three rather, I have the game locked up. The situation is he has a Rek'Sai and a bird token in base. He has an Inferna and a hidden red pike on one of the battlefields, and the other battlefield is completely empty. My hand was, going into my final turn, my hand was First Mate, Forecaster, and a Sprite Fountain. So I had to beat 5 Might on one side, and then double conk the other side to go from 6 to 8. So the misplay was the turn before that, I played my Tools of the Empire just so I can use mana on my turn, and I didn't want to um, I didn't want to wait till my final turn in case I like drew Washer or something like that. So I had enough runes to utilize everything. But that was a very fatal misplay because on his turn he untapped and salvaged it. So if I would have held that on my final turn, I was going to 12 runes. I could have went pay 2 for Forecaster, pay 3 for first mate, ready. Pay 4 for Tools of the Empire, um, and then pay 2 for Spray Fountain. So that would have been 4, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And then the final rune, I could have readied my Tools of the Empire with Jayce Legend to use it twice for 4 might. So I would have gave my Forecaster, I would have gave my Sprite token plus 4, so it would have been 7 might. That would have swung over his 5 might Inferno plus Red Pike. And then Forecaster, since he was readied by the first mate, could have went to the other side and won me the game.
W's in the shot.
However, that is not what I did.
W's in the shot.
So we ended up losing the game. Unfortunate. So we go into round 4, which is Miracle Kinnan. The other guy that was undefeated, which I would have played against, was also Miracle Kinnan, by the way. So that's why I say I feel pretty confident that if I didn't misplay that, I would have just won. Excuse me, won the entire event. So going into round 4, 3-1 or 3-0, 2-1. I'll get it right one of these days. 2-1 going into round 4. Play against Miracle Kinnan. Lose the die roll. Game 1, I'm still able to pull ahead because, you know, just starting the game on 1 point when you go second with Pat Robot going into Veiled Temple is just crazy. It like breaks the tempo of the game, and it's so sick. I lose game 2. Game 2 was pretty close. It came down to, honestly, I don't even remember. But I started off really behind on the back foot. Like I had 2 points to his like 5 or something, and I could have set up a hold, and there's probably a way I could have played it better. But basically, he was able to rebuke one side, go in, and then also swing over the other side. I don't remember my hand or anything for context, so not sure if I could have played that differently and stabilized the game. But he beats me game 2. Game 3, I do the patch robot stuff, and yeah, we just go crazy. He got a little bit unlucky too with like stack decks, like he didn't see a Nocturne or anything. So maybe a little bit luck there, but it felt like pretty convincing. Also, I want to say in all 3 games, he like double gusted me, and he always had Fizz Starcross. Which I mean, what do you expect? I mean, they see so many cards, they're always gonna have it. So, but I was pretty impressed that I was able to play through that so reliably. Oh, last thing on the Rek'Sai game 3. So Rek'Sai game 3, the crazy punt I did, you know, I had the game locked up. What's crazy about that game 3 is he had triple Falling Star, triple Cold the Week. I played through all 6 of those broken removal spells and still had the game locked up. That's why, like I'm not even mad that I lost. It's my own fault that I lost. But just like seeing that I was able to have a game playing through all of that, like I'm just blown away by the performance that the deck had today, and I can't wait to keep playing this and tweaking it. And yeah, it was just straight 4 rounds of Swiss today at the Skirmish. There was no top cut. The store I played at today, they close early in the evening, so they never do top cut, which is really unfortunate. Um, but yeah, that was my Skirmish run today. My first test run of the deck before the Sprite stuff. I played at locals last Friday and I got second place. My only loss was to uh Irelia in that one. And yeah, the deck's feeling great so far. So I hope you guys take some inspiration from this and go cook some sauce, go try it out, have some fun. And this is what I'm going to be playing the rest of the set, I think. Is It's just like, I really enjoy this deck. It's so fun. It has some crazy lines, and there's a lot you can do with it. And it's got a lot of room to innovate on the deck building too. So I invite you guys to come up with your own crazy ideas and try it out. And I, when my third place packs, by the way, I got 8 packs for third. today at the Skirmish. Craziest 8 packs you've ever seen in your life. Like better than like half the boxes I've opened in Riftbound. I'll put up a picture just on the screen now. So yeah, kind of nuts. That's all I really wanted to say to talk about this Tempo Jayce deck. And yeah, that's it. See ya.